Now we just talked about all these great things about LaMelo Ball, but in some ways, can this be something that works better for Charlotte? What do you think?
I think that this is more just a shift in directions for them. I'm curious to see what they do from here. You know, they have a lot of cap space now. They have a move to make if they want to go that direction. Do they want to continue to slow play it? To me, you have a giant void now. You had an engine to your offense that was LaMelo Ball. Does the offense work the same? Almost certainly not. So what do they do there? I mean, to me, it's an incomplete. I don't know what to make of Charlotte yet because I feel like they still have to complete their roster. I'll know more in a week's time. Do you have a different perspective than that?
I do. It's weird because people need to understand. So I get LaMelo Ball's warts. So I'm not just this advocate for LaMelo Ball. Like there's nothing there that kind of could drive you crazy. I get it, but I also see the value that he brings. But at the same time, I look at this group and the supporting cast that they had around him. Can they go in another direction at point? Can it be Kobe White? Kobe White's a pretty damn good player in this league. So you got that now at point. What does that look like? It won't be quite the same pace. He can play fast, but he's more of a guy that's going to score more than get you involved. So the ball's going to be a little bit different. I think they're going to put a little more responsibility in Con Knippel's hands this year as an initiator. And I think he's a guy that can develop in that way. Of course, you still have Brandon Miller, you still have Miles Bridges, and then some of the guys they drafted, Hannes Stambach. He's a guy that's really important in the middle. Like he led the nation in rebounding. This is a guy, and they need that. Diabate, I love his role. He's a little bit undersized. This is a guy, Steinbach, that can get in there and you can't root him out. He can secure defensive rebounds. They still have Kalkbrenner. So that's got to work out for them. They drafted Christian Anderson, who is one of the best pure playmakers in the draft of this guard class. There was a lot of guards picked, a lot of hype around these guards. Almost all of them are combos. They're guys that really score first and can play make a little bit and can run ball screen looking for themselves mostly. Christian Anderson makes you better. He looks at the game differently. He's a guy that I think people are going to love because he's out there first and foremost to make the game easier for you, kind of similar to LaMelo Ball. He doesn't have the size or the flair or any of that or probably the deep shooting range right now, but he does have the instincts for a natural point guard. Now, these guys are young. They're rookies. Who knows how much they can contribute. But then Naz Reid, that's a big pickup. That is a big pickup, man.
How's he going to be there?
This is a very accomplished player, man. And he can be your starter if you want him to be. You can play two bigs because of his versatility as a shooter and a guy that can get on the floor. So this is going to be interesting for them. It's a different look for sure because you kind of picture them when you picture the Hornets last year. The first guy that pops in your head is LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
Just because of the way he plays, it's like wow, man, it's got like a Pistol Pete type mentality out there. It's fun. And they got on a roll, and he was the engine of it. You're right. Now they go in a different direction, but I still think it can work.
Well, offensive rebounding was also a huge piece for them. I mean, they grabbed every offensive board, and they did it by spreading you out. Naz Reid helps that. You can play, if you do play them both together, Diabate crashing the boards, but then you have to have a big body out on Naz Reid. And then I'm just curious if Naz Reid expands his game at all out there. Are they making this move based on the thought that they think, if he gets elevated, he has a little bit of, handle, he could put the ball on the floor. Do they ramp that up and explore what the limit is there? I think Naz Reid will be interesting to watch next year for that reason. So it's an interesting trade, but I just look at Minnesota. Last thing before we take a break, but what does Minnesota have to do for this to be a win? Because here's the other part of it. They have to win it all. This is a win it all move. You make the conference finals twice, conference semis this year. You've already made the deep playoff run. Now, the only thing you have to do now is win the championship. And so I feel like that's how this will be graded. Do you think they have a better shot now at getting that done?
I do think I like this team better. But it's got to play out, man. It's got to play out. I would like it a lot more if they had DiVincenzo still. But not having him most of the years is a big loss. I want to see how they replace the Naz Reid minutes. That's going to be an interesting one. I think ultimately it could be a more high-octane, more viable offense. But look, this was a team that in the postseason, they got things done because of their physicality, their defense, and they had the size and strength to play that kind of basketball that you see in the postseason. We haven't seen that out of LaMelo Ball. So who knows what that's going to look like for him. You saw the one play-in game last year against Orlando that ended their season, and it was a very physical game, and he did not respond well to that. Okay. So there are definitely some question marks, but the offense, I think, has got this refresh about it that might make it a better regular season option every night for them to go win games. Playoffs could be another story, but we'll see, man. That's next April. We'll see what they look like at that time, because there could be more moves that take place during the season or even this summer with what they might do.
All right, well, let's take a break. On the other side, we're going to do some very quick hitters on some of the other moves, including Isaiah Joe going to Detroit, and a move that Legs texted this morning was huge. We'll get to that on the other side. Season is underway. On Kalshi, you can trade every single player movement, which I think is a really cool thing you can do here. Right now, Jalen Brown is trading at just 35% to stay with Boston. I feel like this is inevitable. We're going to talk about it on the other side. But that's down to 35%. Kalshi has no idea, though, where he's going. New Orleans, Portland, both 10%. Charlotte, 6%. Cleveland, 4%. Houston, 6%. Atlanta, 6%. Nobody knows where he's going. I feel confident that he's leaving Boston. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there is no house. And as the probabilities change, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use the code ALLNBA to get $10 when you trade 10. KALSHI, Kalshi, trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. Also want to tell you guys about Spotify. What kind of dreams did you have when you were a kid? What did you want to be when you grew up? How about now? Are you thinking about your own business or side hustle? Summertime is the time to get started on a side hustle. Even for me, little projects, written projects that I always put to the side, pick up them in the summer. Shopify is the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. Shopify even powers the All City merch store. Shopify has you covered with website creation, product descriptions, email and social media marketing, and more. And they have AI tools designed to help you maximize sales. So if you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity. All right, back here, final segment of the All NBA show. Short show today, me and Tim Legler. We'll be back over the weekend with Mark Stein, so stay tuned for that. But let's do some quick hitters here. Isaiah Joe is departing Oklahoma City and heading up to Motor City. He is going to Detroit, and it just cost 2 second-rounders. They added some shooting. You called this huge, Legs. I would say this is a nice pickup, but huge. Tell me why.
Huge, man. Well, because you're talking about a 60-win team that no one took as serious as you needed to because of lack of shooting. I mean, this is a team that defensively can lock you up. They've got a big star guard that can answer the call in the fourth quarter. They had their offense even dried up in the postseason because even Jalen Duren, who they were counting on to give them 15 to 20 or 20 or more than 20 every night, a lot of that in the paint, completely went away because of the way teams were defending them by not guarding their shooters and clogging up the lane. So it completely derailed Jalen Duren's postseason to the point where this is a guy that is a third team all league player, and you're looking at him in the postseason going, man, what are they going to do? Are they going to keep Jalen Duren? Do they have to move Jalen Duren after one postseason because he was that ineffective offensively? And the reason, because the teams that played them took an elite defender and they basically just camped out on the edge of the lane. And they stayed in his lap on the short roll, which is where he killed people all year. It was unavailable to him. He's not a back-to-the-basket post player, so that wasn't going to also, let me just go down here and operate. He's not a shooter, so he has to get it a certain way. And he's really good all year on those rolls. Cade Cunningham at the two-man game. Why teams didn't play him that way more in the regular season? I don't know. Maybe because regular season you got 1 day to prepare for a team, and you're not that locked in on them. But you get to the playoffs, you are locked in on how do we take away something from this team that's important? And that's what they did to the Pistons. And the only reason it worked because they only had one shooter on the floor, and it was Duncan Robinson, who was getting face guarded, by the way. So they need another big-time shooter, and that's what Isaiah Joe is. And by the way, you don't have to sacrifice defense with Isaiah Joe. He can pressure the ball. He fights over screens. He's a really good, above average defensive player in this league who shoots 40% from the three-point line and can be a high-volume shot taker. He's 20-plus minutes a game on a team that won a championship. So this is a guy that's incredibly valuable. And if you put him out there with Duncan Robinson at the same time, now you've got decisions to make, and you're not going to get away with the same coverage that you saw this year on Jalen Duren. That's why I think this is huge. The one thing they didn't have enough of was shooting. They went out and they drafted a Corey, the point guard, Stanford, who's one of the quickest guys in the draft and a legitimate